A York County man was given a second chance. He was born with a heart disease that wasn't getting better. Here's John Mudge'S journey.
That was a beautiful day.
John Mudge and his wife Teresa can't find enough words to describe each day. They're thankful.
Oh yes, I am living the dream now.
Each day is filled with endless possibilities for John. That wasn't the case when he was diagnosed with heart disease.
My twin sister, late 80s, early 90s, had got real sick and got double pneumonia. And when they checked her, they found out that she had the heart disease, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And when she told her doctor she had a twin brother, he was interested in finding out if maybe I had the same thing. I went and got checked through him and did the echocardiogram and everything and found out that I did have it, but I was at that time non-symptomatic.
So John had a disease known as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. It's a genetic disorder, but the heart starts out being fairly normal. And as people get older, and usually for some time between adolescence and early adulthood, the heart changes in various ways. In John's case, the major problem was that the heart couldn't relax appropriately, and it limited how much blood his heart could pump. He also had a heart rhythm abnormality that's common for any type of heart disease and common in heart failure called atrial fibrillation. And that in combination with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy makes people feel very poorly.
We had started going to different physicians to try to regulate the rhythm with just medications or whatever needed.
Initially, the medications worked. Then his health began declining.
It makes it hard to get around. You get real short of breath. You can't hardly breathe. I can remember some times where I could only take 2 or 3 steps and I'd have to stop. I knew something else had to be done. And I went and talked to my cardiologist and told him, I just can't do this anymore. I can't walk 100 yards on a slight incline before I had to stop, you know. And she sent me out to Hershey to see Dr. Debra.
We did some studies to find out what his heart's function really is and how much it could do. And that's when we realized that things were worrisome enough that we had to look into heart transplantation.
So that was a shocker. That was a hard day for me. I was there by myself, and I left his office and called my wife on the way home.
He calls me and said he needed a transplant. And I went, a what? And he said, a heart transplant. And I went, oh, you must have misunderstood him. You know, that can't be.
And I said, yeah, that's what he said. We're going to work towards heart transplantation.
And when he came, then he got real quiet, and I told him, maybe it was.
It's a bittersweet thing getting a transplant like this, because you know what's going to happen for you to get it. So you don't really pray for it.
When we get to the point where we're looking at heart transplantation, it means we're concerned about somebody's prognosis in the coming year or two. And John was falling into that category.
Until a heart was available, every 4 to 6 weeks, John would spend days in the hospital.
He would come in repeatedly for us to measure how his heart's working with a procedure called a right heart catheterization. By doing that, we were able to add a few other medicines and then adjust his diuretics to get him in optimal condition. And then we would send him out for a little while and basically repeat the process to try to keep him as healthy as possible until that heart arrived.
I feel good for a while, you know, for a couple weeks.
He could do like one thing, but that would put him down for a while. You know, it took him days to recover from an activity, whatever it was.
During one of the hospital stays, John got what he calls the bittersweet news.
Dr. Debra walked in about 7:30 in the morning, and when I saw him come in that early, I knew why he was there. My wife didn't really get it.
He asked me where I was going. I said, I'm going to work, and he said, maybe you want to sit down here for a minute. Still didn't dawn on me. John knew right away.
Then he sat down and told me that they had a heart. It was a 26-year-old male, and everything looked good. I thought it was going to be the perfect heart for me. And actually told me that he was a known drug user, and I had the right to refuse it if I wanted it.
And John looked at me and I said, it's up to you. I'm with you, in or out, whatever you decide, I'm good with it. If you decide not to, that's fine. If you decide to, that's fine as well.
I decided that was the heart that God had gave me, and I was going to take it.
I said, okay, we're on.
you're joyous, you know. It's like, okay, the day's here, we're going to get this done, you know. And then probably 2 hours later, you get to the other side of it to where, okay, yeah, you know, a 26-year-old man has died and he's gone, but you're going to live because of it. So that kind of brings you back to earth.
It's very common for patients to have remorse about the event that occurred in the donor. And I always try to encourage our patients that whatever happened had already happened. And this is actually a good thing for the family that's dealing with that tragic loss, to gain some glimmer of something good out of an event that otherwise is tragic.
The glimmer of something good was about to happen as preparations were made for the heart to arrive.
So when the heart is en route, John is already in the operating room and preparation are being made for his operation to start.
And we did get to go see the helicopter come bring it in. And that's probably my biggest breakdown moment.
In order to do the transplant, we connect the recipient, John in this case, to what's called the heart-lung machine, which does the function of the heart and the lungs. It bypasses the circulation through the heart and the lungs, which allows us to remove the diseased heart and implant the new heart.
And then the transformation began.
It's one of the most wonderful things we see, that this heart regains life and supports life ultimately. It is remarkable.
He came in and said everything went well.
It took some time for John to gain his strength back, but he did.
There we go. That was perfect.
John's in a bowling league now, a favorite pastime he had to give up.
So I'm carrying a 138 average and trying to build it back up, trying to get that form back, but it takes a while. There it is.
It has taken a while for John to heal emotionally, too. John reached out to the donor family.
Oh, it's a great blessing. I've tried so many times to find the words to show my appreciation to the family. We wrote a letter to them.
I want each of you to know that not a day goes by without me thinking about you or your loved one. My wife, children, and I cannot express the heartache we still feel for your family.
They wrote me back. Her son had a young daughter.
He was a father to a beautiful daughter. He loved her more than anything. He would call her his girl. My son is missed every day, but knowing that his gift has saved a life makes it just a little bit easier. Hopefully someday we get to meet them. And, you know, when that day comes, if and when it does come, that, you know, she can see that, you know, it went to a wonderful person.
I still pray for the family every day and the daughter. That's one of my morning routines, to pray for them, that they're having a good life, especially the daughter.
John truly hopes to meet the donor family someday. He says he was given a gift that he can never pay back.